As viewers, we learn about the wizarding world of Harry Potter through the eyes of Harry Potter as he discovers the world. He's introduced to us as this naive orphan boy who knows nothing of wizarding, and we learn about wizarding as Harry learns. Our journey into Middle-earth starts in the Shire over here, and from there we explore the whole world. Now, if we're reading The Hobbit, we learn about the world through the eyes of Bilbo Baggins, a naive hobbit who knows nothing of the world outside the Shire. If we're reading The Lord of the Rings, then we learn about the story from Frodo Baggins, another naive hobbit. And his journey begins when he gets the ring, and that ring had a history behind it. If we're watching Star Wars, we learn about the world from Luke Skywalker, a naive farm boy who knew nothing about the war of galaxies fighting with each other. He was just a farm boy. But the story doesn't begin with Luke. It began with some droids on a ship being boarded. In fact, it didn't even begin there. Star Wars has 4 prequel movies, and if you're watching this in a few years' time, Star Wars has 5 prequel movies, and if you're watching this in several years' time, Star Wars has 98 prequel movies. Isn't the revamp of Jar Jar Binks awesome? The lesson here isn't that we should start our games off naive. In fact, that's kind of a default setting anyway. When we begin a new campaign, our players know nothing about the world, unless it's one they've played in before, and even then, they know nothing about the story. But no, what's true about all of these great pieces of literature and film is that the world exists before our story begins, and our characters, the ones that we follow and learn about these worlds from, the ones who the camera focuses on, they aren't beginning the story at the start. The story began without them. If we take a role-playing game like Corporation, we usually begin with a mission briefing, and in most role-playing games that kind of pattern is in some way mirrored. We begin and the story starts. But if we want a living and breathing world, surely we can learn a little bit from literature and the arts. The story should have already begun without our heroes, and as our players learn and discover the world through the eyes of their naive characters, we can build a more believable and realistic world and story for them to follow. And doing this isn't terribly difficult. We just need to make sure that when we do our first actual play session, there's some history before the players are introduced to the world. Don't begin the game with a mission briefing in Corporation. Begin with a living and breathing world where stuff has already happened before our heroes get caught up in the story. That's the lesson we can take from masterpieces like this one and that one and the other ones that are on camera right now. For a living and breathing world, don't start it with your adventure. Have the adventure already in progress. When I begin an adventure, whether it's a one-shot or a campaign, I like to begin in the heart of the action. Now, sometimes that means I like to begin with an explosion or a chase sequence, because, you know, it's high action and high drama and high stakes. But you can still begin the game in a tavern or in some more sedate way. Just make sure that whatever fate is about to unfurl on the world that your heroes are going to have to go and stop and save the world from, make sure that that is already in progress. So that's my video for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm Becky Rose Dungeon Girl. You're watching Pair of Geeks, and I'll see you next week. And if you could you subscribe? Because I noticed on my stats for the channel, like 80% of my audience aren't subscribed. And why is that? Surely you want more of this good content. I mean, this was good content, I hope. So please subscribe, hit the button, because that not only benefits you, but it benefits me in my quest to get 10,000 subscribers so I can go to YouTube and play with the camera kit, because I'm a nerd and I really want to do that. And it used to only be 5,000, then they made it 10,000, and I don't have that many subscribers.
toys.